let's look at the 5 patterns of chronicity. They become the patterns of chronicity because they're existing for a long period of time. Now, these 5 patterns of chronicity, what is seen in these cases is that, life being a healer does not get a chance to heal people if these behaviors are in place. Let's just put it like that. They defeat the therapist, they defeat the doctor, they defeat God, they defeat life. These behavioral aspects, if not addressed, eventually will lead to the persistence of the problem. And a lot of times the focus is on solving the problem or taking care of that or getting to a point of resolution, getting over those emotions or events or whatever the case may be. Rarely is the attention drawn towards what is bringing it, keeping it in the first place. What brought it is very different from what is keeping it here intact as the same issue for years perhaps. Now we will look at those patterns of chronicity. The first pattern of chronicity is what I call as the horror series. In the integral eye movement therapy, it is called as the great what if question. In this question, the framing is done of a statement in the category of what if, giving only half the statement. So for example, while I'm talking about something, giving a generalized explanation of how things are happening, one person from the audience comes in and says, oh, but what if that? Which is actually a counter example of what I am talking about. So here I'm trying to make a point for the ease of learning or saying something that I'm following up with something. But this person here shares a counter example at that point in time, giving me only half the statement. Now here what is being done is that what if this is happening? The other half is not shown to me. For example, if I say that, if you play games, your depression will be taken care of to a great extent. And this person in the audience goes like, hey, what if the person doesn't have legs? Now this is an exception that is brought up in order to hijack the session at this point in time. So this is how a what if shows up. It's also seen that the pattern of what if is consistent with people's anxiety issues. So anybody who has anxiety has a high amount of what ifs in their question, in their scenarios. Stop doing it. That's all that I would say to that. There are ways in which we can stop it. We'll look at them in the course of IMT. Here at this point, let's move to the second one. I call this as to feel or to not feel. Like to be, to not be. Sorry. So this is the maybe person phenomena. Now this person is never sure about how he's feeling, what he wants to do, which decision, what he wants to take. The specificity in the experience goes missing. He's like, I kind of want to do that. I sort of feel like that. Or maybe it is like that. I'm not too sure what it is. So this person is never answering with complete certainty of an experience. A very simple example, oh hey, are you coming to the party tonight? I don't know, maybe, let's see. Now if this circulates in other areas of life as well, we know this is a maybe person that we are handling. A good, precise intervention comes in the mental health department and also in life is when people know where they exactly are. In the corporate world also, I'm often spoken about getting an evaluation system done for the trainings. Why is that pre-evaluation important? It is important because people know where they stand right now. So a lot of pre-work, an intervention and a post-work comes into being to see where the person began and where the person is now. It's an important component. It just becomes extremely difficult to do with the maybe people. Let's look at the third pattern. The third pattern is something which I call as a reverse water flow. This person is always looking for the presence of problems rather than looking for the evidence of change. So the presence of change that has come about is totally ignored in the context of the problem. Let me give you a very simple example. Have you ever been that person yourself, or have you seen those people around? I bet you have. So let's say this guy walks into doctor's clinic and says that, you know what, I have very high fever, there is a consistent headache, it doesn't seem to be going away, it is so persistent in nature, my nose is running, my body is aching, I'm in a terrible state. And the doctor goes in for a checkup, finds out the BP is also low, the pulse is also not regular, gives a series of medicines, tells the person to take it in the way prescribed, and come back 3 days later. This person goes back 3 days later and says, you know what, my headache is so severe, I can't even begin to tell you. And the doctor says, hey, what about the fever? Well, you don't seem to have fever right now, it's back to the normal temperature. What about body ache? No, I don't have body ache anymore. How's your nose now? No, it's absolutely clear, there's nothing there. Let me check your BP. The BP is normal too, the pulse is normal too. No, but my headache is there, my headache is persistent, it's killing me, you got to do something about it. So all the other symptoms, all the other issues that have gone away are paid no attention to, but that one thing which remains gets 100% of the attention. This is a person who is testing for evidence of the presence of problem rather than the presence of change that has come about. The reversing water flow. If you have this and you're facing a challenge in life, possibly a persistent challenge which hasn't gone away, look at it. You may be holding this pattern of chronicity. Stop doing that. Look at how life is changing. Look at how you are changing. Look at how you're updating and upgrading yourself from time to time, and appreciate for that. Let's look at the next pattern of chronicity. The fourth pattern of chronicity is the dukhyatma, the sad soul, being at effect rather than at cause. This is a person who's a victim of everything, of the parents that they've been born into, of the family, of the school, of the teachers, of now the spouse, the children, the boss, the traffic, the government, everything, the religion. Everything is on the outside. They have such an external map of things that everything on the outside is wrong. That needs to be fixed for me to be all right. Oh, what can I do? There was a lot of traffic. Oh, what can I do? You know what? My spouse didn't make me breakfast today. What can I do? You know, the kids are not behaving themselves. So everything, I am just a consequence of what is happening on the outside of me. This person is always at effect and never at cause. It's very important to come to cause. Remember, responsibility, accountability happens when we are at the source of things, wherein we know how we have contributed, I would use that word, to make this a problem today. And then we draw that contribution and see the problem change. The last pattern of chronicity that I want to talk about is a 3-stage abreaction. I call it the puppetry show. In this puppetry show, it is either you behave as per how I want you to do, or I will be upset. It's something that moms and adults have used a lot on their kids. You know, we've all been at the receiving end of it at some point in our life, which is that, you know, oh, mommy, why is daddy not home? Daddy's gone on a business trip in reality. Mommy, why is daddy not home? Because you didn't do your homework, he's not coming home tonight. This is a punishment for you. So this kind of a puppetry gets set up that you have to play by my rules. Now, please, I am not saying anything about parenting. I'm not talking about moms. Moms are absolutely the sweethearts of the world. This is all unconscious behavior that gets through. And a lot of times we don't even realize our interaction with the kids. What would the kids think, interpret as a result of what we are saying? We may be saying from a very different angle. So in the puppetry show, in the 3-stage abreaction, there are 3 stages that comes through before the person abreacts. In stage 1, it is just implying that there is a threat. So it is a threat which is being given, which means, let's just take a simple example. I don't know, I kind of feel lost. This is an indication coming through that what you're doing is making me uncomfortable. It is not said like that. It is said in the way that I'm uncomfortable. Now, if your behavior at this point in time does not change, it moves to the second step, which is an increased amplitude. It becomes a warning. That warning is basically now about, didn't I tell you I'm not feeling good? I don't feel, will you just stop talking? I feel terrible right now. Oh, it's so uncomfortable, suffocating to be in this environment here. This is the second stage. And if you miss this one out, the third stage comes in, which is the apt reaction, which is the person goes into a cold war, bursts into anger, becomes very violent, flies into a rage. There are different categories that is happening, which in short means that I'm punishing you for not listening to me. If you are doing it, stop it. We look at addressing these in the IEMT course that we do at the practitioner level. And the idea for this video has been just to give you a snapshot into these 5 patterns of chronicity. And if you see yourself doing it, just stop it. The moment you stop them, you may be having 1, you may be having 2, you may be having all 5. And these are only the 5 patterns of chronicity. There are more as well. So if you see yourself doing it, one more time, STOP, just stop doing them. In the practitioner workshop, we talk about them at length. We talk about each one of them and how to address it. In my career of 16 years, I have seen that when people have these patterns of chronicity, these behavioral attributes, if I can call them, the problem does not go away. So a lot of times we don't have to address the problem. We have to address what we think is in the periphery, which actually is not in the periphery. It is at the core. So just a snapshot of these 5 patterns of chronicity for you, just for you to have an idea about them. We discuss them in detail in the course. See you.